All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Zero Hour Discussions, classified episode number 12. I think. Yeah, I think it's number 12. And hope you guys are enjoying your evening, Friday evening out here in the Philippines in Manila. And another end of a work week. Very tough week for a lot of people, for myself, and I think for my guests as well. Um, there's nothing much to say except for us to enjoy the evening talking about games and also talking about things that we learned about the our top five favorite games, probably of all time. Let's see. We all have a lot of games that we played since we are young, but there are some of those games that we tend to remember as probably the fundamentals of what we know in real life right now. And there might be an issue with the internet on my end, so I'm not exactly sure I might be stuttering or not. Let's see. Yeah, seems to be an issue out here. Not sure what's happening, but let me go ahead and introduce my guest and also a good friend of mine, Iza from Equip in gaming real life. Iza, I
Hello.
have to apologize. There seems to be an issue again with my internet, and I'm
No
lagging
worries.
big time.
No
I'm
worries,
not
no
sure.
worries.
Yeah. So I will turn on the what do you call this? The camera in a few, just observing. And I apologize to everyone's watching. I don't really use my avatar that much. I love to talk to people face to face, or at least this is a close one face to face. But again, Isa is a content creator, gamer, and also a podcaster over at Equip in gaming real life. Just go ahead and ask you a question. How are you doing this week, or at least this March?
That is a hard question to answer. Well, you sort of gave them an idea earlier. This week, along with all the previous weeks, have not been, the most amazing weeks of my life. But we're still hanging on. We're still trying to get by and take life as it comes. But I'm very much looking forward to better days. That's all I can say.
you, you and me both. For some reason, I'm not sure what's going on. Might be change of the cosmos, or probably something going on out there bigger than what we understand. But at least there's something that we both understand is we enjoy playing video games, enjoy play
Yeah.
watching films, watching stuff, and also reacting. My end, I think on your end, you are mostly known for coming up with concepts based on video games, probably other stuff as well, and implementing it in real life. Am I correct?
Yep. Yep,
Hmm.
that's correct.
Okay, just like to ask some questions also before we begin. Just an introduction. When do you still remember when would be the first time you played a video game or played games in general?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do. Oh my gosh. When my like okay, wait, let me try to phrase this as best as I can because I
Okay.
remember playing video games with my older brother. But
Hmm.
during that time, I don't really want to count it because I was more of like the second player. Like I really just wasn't doing much and I wasn't aware of what games I was playing because I was so young. I think that was back in maybe 2005.
Hmm.
And I can freely say that by 2006, 2007, that's when I really started to be more aware of like what video games I was playing at the time. I'm gonna mention one later actually because it's on my list. But yeah, I think I was roughly how old was I? I think I was 7 years old when I started to to realize that I could play games on a PC. So yeah.
Nice. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was listening to you, but then again, this stupid stream is giving me false hope using the camera. For some reason, I'm not sure, Sky Cable, kung nakikinig kayo, paayos naman ng ano, ng internet
Please
kasi
send help.
it's been this is happening for about 6 months na nagpalit na kami ng router, ganun pa rin. But anyway, yeah, actually, I played. I think first time I seen a console was the Atari. very long time ago, and I didn't even play it. It was just there because I
Mm.
didn't understand how to use it. You can blame me because that was around 3, 4 years old. So
Yeah.
basically, I wasn't really into the games back then. But the very first interactive thing that I have with a console would be the old Game Boy. And my friends know this. I have the oldest Gen 1 Game Boy, and it looked like a transformer, to be honest, because you have the Game Boy and you could attach a lot of things there. You could
Mhm.
a magnifier and also a LED sort of light so that you could see the screen, and a battery extender, all those stuff. And then played some more Nintendo games, and then PS1, PS2, some PS3. Actually, I ended at PS3, to be honest. Didn't get to play PS4, so I don't have that luxury, and I'm not sure if I'm going to buy PS5. Doesn't seem to be
Mhm.
feasible at the moment, but yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and do some more discussion regarding the games as we start. So again, we are talking about our top 5 favorite games and what we learned from them. We're going to start from. I'm not sure if you would you like to do it chronological on your end, because I'm going to do it chronological from
I was
number five to
assuming
number
that we
one.
would start at number 5 and then
Yeah,
go
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. From backwards. Yeah, I also have that idea. Yeah, I forgot how I would say it. I'm not sure. Backwards chronological order. I don't know, but yeah,
In reverse?
yeah. In the
I
verse.
don't
Sorry. That's how disconnected I am in reality right now. I'm really tired for some reason. And Raven James, Mike Tambay, sir, ma'am. Good evening. Good evening, Raven James. And if you guys have your top 5, do comment it below. We might read some of your comments later. I know Isa is just limited time here, but we'll try to make most out of it. And let's go ahead, since you're the guest, Isa, let's go ahead with your number 5 and what you learned from it.
Okay, so without a doubt, when you first suggested this topic, which was just a few days ago, um,
Actually, it's just
I was
few
like,
hours ago.
this was the game that popped into my mind right away, and this is my number 5. This is one of the first games that I played when I was really young, so back in 2007, and this was with my older brother. It's called Maplestory. I think I've mentioned this
The
on
online game, correct?
my podcast. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I remember that.
It's like a big at the time when I was playing it, and again, because I was really young, I didn't know what was really going on. I didn't realize that it was an MMORPG. I was really in it for the graphics because the avatars are really, really cute. And
Oh
of
yeah.
course, just like any other young kid out there, you would focus more on like the graphics and the visuals that you would get.
Mm,
And so that's what I did. Like that was one of the first games that my older brother introduced to me along with RuneScape. But the reason why Maple Story is on my list is because there was something about it's an MMORPG, and I would always go for like a mage build or a magic build. And that was the first game when I started to realize like, oh, in this type of game, I didn't know it was an MMORPG, but in this type of game, you have to pay attention to like what your skills are, like the skills that you can choose and select. That was like my first ever glimpse at that sort of aspect of these MMORPG games. And at the time, I don't think I was following any like YouTube
mm,
guide, or it was mostly because of my brother. But I started to slowly realize that okay, yeah, this skill is not the best skill when I'm in this location, but when I'm in a different location, that makes more sense. And so that sort of thinking started to pop up during that time. This was in
mm,
2007 maybe. And it took 10 more years for it to come back because after that I sort of did not play that much anymore. But I don't know, I love MapleStory. It's always I tried playing MapleStory again in 2014.
mm.
It was still a thing back then in 2014. Right now, I don't think so. I think
No.
it's you can still play the game, but I think
Mm,
like MapleStory 2 is gone. Um but yeah, I tried playing it in 2014. It was exactly the same as how it was in
I remember it.
2007 for some reason, but I still pretty much enjoyed it. I still loved playing it. I still chose to become a mage in that
Mm,
game. But yeah, in terms of like, and also just like for my list in particular, like all
mm,
the games that I'm gonna be mentioning, they're really more of like just impact on myself and the sentimental value it has, well, at least in my eyes, that's how. And so since it's one of the earliest games that I've played, and
mm.
it's still something that I remember that I really really enjoyed playing, that's why it's on my list.
Well, yeah. I played Maple Story before because
Oh
this was
really?
back in the day when Ragnarok PH was still a thing.
Oh
And
nice.
sadly, I didn't play it as much as you did, but it was good. The only problem that I have there is the internet right now sucks. Sorry. Yeah, even back then internet sucks. But the only problem that I have with the game, it was competing with something bigger. And back then, Ragnarok, as I said a while ago, Ragnarok PH was a very big thing. Everyone else was playing it. Everyone else was building up the skills and also the characters. I think Maple Story also has that same sentiment when in regards to an open world MMORPG. Am I right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you it came in a very bad timing for me. If Maple Story came in probably a year before Ragnarok PH, it could have been better and also bigger. But since it was competing with something like that big and also a bigger fan base, and it and to be frank, I think Ragnarok was much easier to play with in regards to skills and also developing the characters. It wasn't really a turn off with Maple Story. Actually, it was good because if you're going to compete it when it comes to graphics and also how you control stuff, it has the edge. But for some reason, the enemies and also the background music in Ragnar was
Oh.
very memorable, very memorable, and it pulled me a bit more. So I stopped playing Maple Story because back then I know you remember before we have to buy load when you pay RO. You have to
Uh-huh.
buy 25 pesos or 50 pesos on top of me renting PC, an hour use of PC in PC shop, so it wasn't feasible for me. But yeah, it is a good pick. And now that you mention it, I'm planning to look for something or look for it. If there's a leak out there that I could download Maple Story, definitely and probably watch it also. Some games. We do have the luxury right now watching games in YouTube. So I want to
Mhm. True.
relive everything. And also there's some sort of they call this some sort of feeling when you try to go back to these games. You tend to remember the good stuff back then and how it impacted your life. But
Yeah.
yeah, don't want to start to get emotional because probably just a little bit fatigued with current situation. But okay, here's my number five. And now that you mentioned your number five, I was thinking if I should have placed Ragnarok on number five, and it's competing with another RPG, Final Fantasy IX. So I'm going to give a sub 5 on Ragnarok. It's not going to be long. So I already mentioned Ragnarok PH a while ago. The main thing I love about Ragnarok is because again it's an open world. You get to interact with other people. You get to interact with NPCs, customize the build, customize the what do you call this? Customize your character and also the skills. And it's just fun to play it, to be honest. To be honest. And I'm always looking forward to every Christmas event in RO just because I'm a big fan of Luti, the Christmas the Christmas village. You could also always see my acolyte hanging out there. Acolyte attack build, which is sobrang bihira back then because all acolytes tend to be healers and auspices. So yeah, it just gives me the feeling of it was really enjoyable back then when we're not. thinking about paying the bills, just playing games. So I have to put number a sub 5 on Ragnarok, and now my main it would be Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy
Mm.
9 had a very good story. It revolved around characters, young characters to be honest, and more of world building on that one was great. Characters were excellent. The guys from Losing Streak Gaming, especially Adrian, broke this down a few episodes back. I think 2 episodes back. Um, the main thing that I learned about this game is whether or not you're young, the responsibilities that you have in the world, you can never run away from them. That's the underlying theme of that game. It's because main character itself, Zidane or Zidane, wherever you call him. He was pretty young, also part of the Sky Pirates. I think I can't remember the exact name, but he's part of a group of pirates, and the other character, Garnet, Lady, I forgot, Princess Garnet slash Dagger, the other name. She was also young, just a princess, but all of the weight was given to her shoulder to learn all of the techniques within the game. You can She was trying to escape reality because of the corruption within the kingdom that she was in. The more she run against it or ran against it, the more that the ghost from the past actually reveals itself. So there was no way to continue on but to confront what's happening. And let me just try this one later. Um, it seems like to be a theme also in real life. The more you avoid things that you should have been confronting in the first place, the more that it tends to go back and return to you. And sometimes it does have a lot of unintended consequences, which most people would find very annoying, or at least the problem was already booming out. So in my case, learning that from a very young age and confronting problems head on was a big learning curve for me because I was also born, sad to say, with a silver spoon before lahat ng bibili ng parents ko. We go out of the country 2 3 times a year, buy stuff that sometimes normal people can't afford, and then all of a sudden, a few years after that, all the money went away. We're living from a big house down to a room. I didn't know what happened there. So the thing that I applied there based on playing Final Fantasy before is you have to know where you stand and you have to know how to face the problems head on by also having plan. So I think all Final Fantasy games have that theme, but especially in this one because they face it in a very young age. And I recommend that you play it. some Sometime in the future if you do have the time. It's available in emulator, and it's a PS1 game. Highly recommendable. If you look up the ratings for it until today, it still stand the test of time when it comes to storytelling, and it's far superior than Final Fantasy 7. And me being a big Final Fantasy 7 fan, this still trumps it 20
Oh,
years ago.
wow.
So yeah, that's my number 5. How about number 4, Isa?
Okay, my number four. Before I go to number four, I think I should
Yeah,
give
go
some
ahead.
more context because when I was playing Maplestory, that was again in around 2007. By
Mm,
2009, I was still in the US back then. We moved to the Philippines in 2009, and then ever since then, I didn't really again pay attention to the video games that I was playing. Like there was GTA at the time.
mm,
I very much went to computer shops at the time also, but then my brain just didn't really pay attention. And so there was a gap in terms of my gaming history from
mm,
2009 to 2018. Now that's a big gap. And I say that because it was only by 2018 that I really, 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 really paid attention to whatever
mm,
game was going on or like whatever game I was playing. And so most of these games, actually, yeah, from four to number one, all of my games will be coming from the games that I have played within the span of like these past 3 years or so, 4 years.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, and so I had to say that because my number 4 game is Minecraft. And so that's because
Mm.
Minecraft is actually the 3rd game that I played. I think I started playing it in 2019 only. 2019 only. That's pretty recent. And I remember I first saw my boyfriend playing this, and when I saw it, I was like, why? Why are you playing this game? And I was so bothered. I was like, he was playing with this group of friends. I also knew them, like they were in our college group also, and they were doing something to like the village that they built. And I
Mhm.
judged Minecraft so hard. I was like, this seems like a useless game. Like they're just a bunch of blocks. What are you gonna do with those blocks? I have no freaking idea. And so there was a moment though that my boyfriend decided to invite me to play with them, and I was like,
Mm.
okay. At the time, I didn't have the best laptop, so I think like I had a very old HP laptop, but it could handle Minecraft pretty well. And so when I started playing it, I was like, "Holy cow. Okay." You have to make things, you get to create, but you have to like farm things first. And what I really enjoyed about the game is how simple it looks like, but in reality it's actually really really complex because I remember when they were trying to teach me how to make like freaking axes and beds and whatnot. They were like, so you have to get things, and I was like, I don't know what I have to get. And they like walked me through the whole process of having to use this crafting table and how like the order in which you, or the placement of the different resources will actually help you create the final product. I think that was so nice. Like, I don't, it seems so basic of a concept, but in terms of crafting, that's what I really appreciated about Minecraft. But other than that, I think surprisingly I learned a lot of lessons from Minecraft, and I think the first one has got to be resourcefulness, just because obviously as someone that doesn't want to fight any monsters, any creepers, any zombies, any skeletons, my first goal is to like build a decent place. And to do that though, you have to be like sort of strategic with how, with like where you go. And for example, when you chop down a tree, my tendency would also to immediately like cut the grass so I could get seeds, and I need
Mm.
seeds because I need food. Like that's like my impulse. I need to do that right away. I don't want to get iron. I don't want to fight monsters. I need my food. I need like something that will sustain the life of my character so that by a couple of more days I don't have to worry about food anymore because I have a nice farm. And then that's when I can, go out and do whatever it is, get armor, all that jazz. And I don't know, that's like, I just love that about Minecraft so much. And just like the fact that you have to pay attention to how you're using your resources in real life, that's also pretty important as well. Our resources in real life are quite limited to what is available to us in video
Mm.
games, right? And so just like that awareness that you have something and you need to try to make the best use out of it, that will sort of help you not have to worry in the future, if that makes sense. And so
Yeah.
that's very much like um, coming from a standpoint of preparation. I love being prepared. I think in terms of preparation, back then, I mostly came from a place of fear and worry. But like right now, the reason why I prepare is because I know I can set myself up for a better situation. It's sort of like that small shift in how I see it that really helps. And the fact that Minecraft has introduced that to me, I love it. And another thing though that I learned from this game, I learned so much, but the top two
Mhm.
is resourcefulness, and then the second one would have to be efficiency. Which kind of makes sense now that I'm saying it out loud, because when you're trying to be resourceful, you also want to be efficient with what you do with your
Mhm.
resources. And I remember at the time, it's still because of my boyfriend, I would make fun of him because he would love to make these elaborate farms. like automatic uh, farms that will like get your wheat, or the farms that you can just like get iron from. And I would laugh at him. I would just like, why are you doing this? Like, why don't you just go out and, you know, manually get them? And then he would always say, no, 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 this is better because like we're gonna have a lot of them afterwards. But then the thing is, the amount of time that you have to make or you have to spend in order to like create an automatic farm is a lot of time. And back then I would always think I would just rather go out manually if I'm going to spend so much time doing one thing when I can already like, you know, spend time to get whatever resources I need. Like that's how I thought of it. But then later on, when I saw the fruit of all the farms and all the machinery that was going on, I was like, yeah, this is pretty great. Like it's nice to have everything there for you already. It's sort of like you know when something takes a really long time to do, but you know like the reward or the result afterward is going to be super worth it. That's what I started to feel when I was more open to making those farms in Minecraft. um, and I think it also pointed out something inside me because and oh my gosh, this is so like hindsight, like looking back and being introspective, but there was a part of me that took pride in spending a lot of hours doing something. That's something I only realized, I think, in 2020 when the pandemic happened and we couldn't do anything. I felt very much accomplished whenever I would spend a lot of hours, and that was bad for me because I didn't really I paid more attention to the number rather than the quality of the work that I was doing. And again, Minecraft just it just helped me become more open to, you know, changing my perspective on how I spend my time and what I actually, that balance between putting in the work but then also not making things too hard for you, if that makes sense. I said a
Yeah,
lot of things.
no, it's
um,
fine.
but yeah, I know Minecraft. I love that game. I love that game. But yeah, that's my number four.
Give me just 1 second because I'm trying to create a poll here. People will actually answer.
Ooh,
um,
nice.
I haven't played Minecraft to be honest. Just like you, I've come to the skepticism of what will
I
this
know,
game
right?
actually offer me? It's a bunch of blocks. If I wanted to play with blocks, I would like to play it with a Lego. So Lego system, I had Lego when I was young. It's very, very
Mhm.
entertaining back then.
Makes sense.
And
Makes sense.
it's also very expensive. Lego is very expensive to be honest. My mom
Mm.
used to buy me those sets or when I was around 10, no, around 7, and seen the prices around 1,000 pesos back then. So if you conflate it right now, including inflation, that will be around four, I think. So
Yeah.
I agree with learning when it comes to balancing and also production, all of those stuff that you said. I also learned those in a real-time strategy game. Actually, two of them.
Mm.
Number one is Command and Conquer, and also number two is Red Alert. I'm both big fans of, and quite surprising they didn't make the top five, just because you already mentioned that part. And it doesn't make sense for me to actually say the same things that you said because we are coming from the same angle when it comes to you in Minecraft and me talking about if I decided to talk about StarCraft, it's basically the same. The only difference is in StarCraft you get to kill monsters, or at least
Mhm.
opponent. You have either live opponents, play multiplayer, either online or offline multiplayer back then, and it's basically the same. You have to juggle around resources, create your own army, create your what do you call this, your own base. You have to strategize. That's why it's called real time strategy. But yeah, let me just finish up. So my question is, we're able to use in-game context in actual real life scenarios, and then let's see if people would say yes or no. Anyway, here's my number four. My number four is actually a Batman game. Placing in there because I'm a
Ooh.
big Batman fan, as I said before. I have played both Arkham City and also Arkham Asylum. The main reason why I placed this one in my number four is just basically because I'm a fandom, big fan of Batman, and you could see in those games how they properly executed um, Batman, probably in real life, the investigative skills, how you use Batman. But what I took out of it is when using something or someone that powerful, you will not be able to translate fully, but you could get facets of Batman. Like you could use how he thinks about stuff logically, how he thinks about investigating stuff in murder scenes, and also dissecting the entire plot of the enemy, or at least the opponents that he has. I tend to be a very critical thinker and also somewhat innovative. So the way I approach this game and how I use it in real life, or at least the facets of Batman that I use in real life, is number one, the way he investigates and also how he interacts in surroundings. So when you're going somewhere, you'd like to look into stuff, you like to look into stuff before buying them, basically. So you have to jot down notes and also compare. It's basically like investigative stuff before you make a decision buying something. You have to look for other options. Would this be cheaper? Would this be easier to use in the long run? Is this a good what do you call this? Is it a good investment for me or even for you? So that will be number one that I got into there. Number two is I shouldn't be afraid of I shouldn't be afraid of having fear in my heart. Main reason I'm saying it is because all of us have fears, but some of us succumb to those fears just because we fear the unknown, or at least we fear something that we can't truly understand or we don't have any answers for. And the way that I've seen Batman throughout these years, even when I was young, is that's the type of character that has a lot of fear inside of him, but he doesn't let any of those problems or that feeling overwhelm him. That's why he's called the Cape Crusader, the Dark Knight, because he knows how to control fear and also inflict that fear towards the criminals, towards his enemies, basically enemies of the law. It's number two. And number three, just make it simple, is when people talk about Batman, even in the games, it's his they got to say it's his iron will to make sure everything is done. So if you compare it to other, I think mostly superheroes have this trait that they want everything done. To be honest, either it's Superman, Captain America, um, sorry, who else? Trying to relate something a bit more realistic here, so it's very hard. Batman, the whole Batman thing, and who else? Iron Man. Yeah, these guys have some sort of fear in their hearts. It's either that they're not good enough. You could see that when you watch the Avengers. Captain America died there, and there's a part there in the movie that's you get to see that everyone dies basically, and Tony Stark is the only one left. You could also see that same thing in Arkham Asylum. Try to really. I'm sorry guys, a bit tongue tied. You're a bit tired and also experiencing some internet issues for God's sake. You could really relive Bruce's problem, or at least the main issue that he has in life, which sorry, when his parents got killed in the alleyway. And that's enough for fear to set in for a normal human being like me, or like you lose your parents, you get gunned down in an alleyway, and then what happens next? We really don't know because we don't have direction, we don't have anything else. But at least Bruce had a butler named Alfred, became a father figure, and his iron will to be better than other people, to also avenge his parents and make sure Gotham is safe. That became his drive throughout the years. And that's very hard, especially for one single human being. So that's why he expanded into the Bat family, including Robin, first recruit, and also other members like the Red Hood, Red Robin, Batgirl, and all of those stuff. So you have to surround yourself with people who also has the same goals that you have. I think you of all people, Isa, know that. You have to
Yes.
surround yourself with people who understand you, could contribute to your what do you call this to your sorry to the betterment of your life, and also be an example or at least an inspiration how you could move forward. So that's actually number three. Yeah. So those were the things that I took up from the Arkham series, not only in the games but also in media as well. And that's why I have it at number four. Before we proceed, let's go ahead and read some comments. It seems like there are interesting comments here for people. Raven James said, Harvest Moon. I'm not sure if we played this before. Friends in Mineral
No.
Town, and also in Game Boy SP. So it is in the Game Boy Advance before. I played it once and I haven't got played again. But it is a very good interactive game. Kuya Boss is here, another podcaster and also gamer like myself.
Oh,
None.
hey.
Yeah. What's up? Okay, so one video game concept that I got used in real life is being frugal in resources. What same thing Isa said earlier. When it comes to Minecraft, saving items and using things at the right time, like in Resident Evil. Definitely agree. So again, I have to turn off my camera. Still having issues with Sky. So let's go ahead with number three, Lisa. Time flies a bit
All
faster and
right.
already reaching almost 50 minutes just talking about this.
I
If we
know,
made this a
right?
top if we made this a top 10, it might take around 2 hours or more. But yeah. So let's go ahead and start with continue with your number three.
It's all right. It's all right. So number three on my list is Dying Light, and so I think I've
Mm,
mentioned Dying Light to you
a lot
in the
of
past
times.
already, a lot
Yeah.
of times actually. And so the reason why this is on my list though, because again, what's on my list are like games that have really impacted me as an
Mm,
individual also. And the thing with Dying Light is this is the game that has been the most, actually no, the game I'll mention later will be the most out of my comfort zone game, but Dying Light was one of the first games that really wasn't something that I was used to playing. Whenever I go for RPGs, I would always go for the more very story driven, medium combat needed. Because again, I'm not that great at fighting. But then with Dying Light, it was just like a great mix of the two. You have a great storyline, and you have a lot more action. And the thing with this is it's
mm,
like a survival. Oh no, it's not a survival game. It's a horror action game, and the horror part was what I wasn't used to because I am someone that gets scared easily. I am someone that gets
you're atrocious
frantic
in horror, right?
easily.
You're very
I'm very
atrocious in horror.
reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very reactive. I just scream whenever, and when I scream, when I react, I sort of become blank. Like my mind just stops working, if that makes sense. Because like you're so stunned or something, and you don't know what to do next, and then I get up getting hit, and then I die. Like that's sort of the cycle that I have been experiencing a lot. But with Dying Light, I was basically forced to learn how to fight back, if that makes sense. Like literally fight back because there was just no way. There was no way to advance the game if you're just not willing to either fight all the zombies that you encounter, or you strategically maneuver around them, like you sneak and go on stealth mode, or if you do get caught, you just do your best to find the best places to go to so that you can escape. And it's that sort of aspect. I think the biggest thing that I picked up from Dying Light is just being willing to face things that scare you. Like that's my first taste of just really Yeah, doing things that scare you. It wasn't the biggest lesson I learned at the time, like
Mm,
in my real life. I think I was very much more focused on productivity back then, but then having learned that from Dying Light, it's something that is actually helping me right now. And that's why I'm really grateful for that game, because now I'm very much more open to doing things that are more challenging. And with Dying Light, it's so funny because I swear, I kid you not, this is the game where I learned how to dodge properly.
mm,
Oh my gosh, yeah, because there was this one portion in the game. It's like it's not a boss, but he's just like a very, very big zombie that you have to fight, and he has this huge sledgehammer, and you can't hit him if you're not able to dodge his first attack. I struggled so much during that time. Like I almost cried. I'm not even joking because I took so long. I took so long. Like I was so scared and I was just like I because I knew that I couldn't dodge properly. I was like what am I going to do? I was standing on top of like this metal container in the game and I was looking
mm,
at the zombie and then I was complaining to my boyfriend because he was watching me play and I was like I don't know what to do. Like I'm so scared. Like I'm going to die and I'm going to go
mm.
back to the checkpoint. I have to do this again and I'm still gonna die. Um, but then after a good hour or so, I finally understood like the timing of things. And I don't know why it took me that long to pay attention to this, but that's when I learned how to dodge and it sort of gave me more confidence, I guess. Um it's so weird saying this out loud. I feel like a noob, but I don't know, like yeah, Dying Light along with a good story, it just really pushed me to to not necessarily run away from things that I'm afraid of. Well, yes, you do
Mm.
run away in that game, but more of like if you are presented with something that's scary, you have different ways to approach it. Like you don't just have to run away. You can fight back. You can, you know, maneuver still and do what you have to do to finish a quest. But yeah, it's not always about running away from things that scare you, and that's why it's on my list.
Yeah, I think I played some Dying Light before, and me being a big fan of horror games, I think you also know I'm a big fan of horror games. And to be honest, no one really knows this, but I'm also very atrocious in horror. For some reason, I'm not sure if it's a guilty pleasure or something, but I enjoy it. Same time, I'm also very terrified. Um, let's read a comment here because someone also mentioned Dying Light. Dominic Centeno, super fun gameplay in Dying Light. Let me try reading this out in English. It's like Far Cry with zombies, especially when nighttime. It's very fun. You get to roam and also get big rewards in the night, and you also have more aggressive zombies, which is I know about that game. And let me ask also, since you've been playing Dying Light a lot, why do you think they named it Dying Light?
I actually don't know. I've never thought of that. Wait, because the story revolves around like this virus, right? That they're
Mm,
trying to cure or something. And there's like a whole political thing also that goes on in
yes,
that
there is.
story. I actually don't know why it's called Dying Light.
Maybe you have
Huh.
to research that as well. You know, I have an idea for you. Why not make a what do you call this? A video thesis or an essay for Dying Light based on how you played it. I think that's very
Okay.
interesting. Mm, very interesting, especially you started from someone who didn't actually have interest in playing horror games. It's like going to be an outsider's perspective when it comes to playing this game. I think you yourself have a lot to say about it, and I'm looking forward just in case you do the video or something. Um, I would prefer video because you get to see visual mediums, and also there's something about video essays that besides explaining it, you get to see some parts of the game. and also you get to
Mm.
see, not really if you don't like to show yourself, that's fine. You get to see the impact that it has on you, and somehow visuals just help out. Um, so Jazz is also here. Sorry,
Yes.
good evening. Games to the show. Get good games made a big impact in my life and how I view challenges and hardships. I will fail a lot, I will struggle a lot, but every time I retry, I know I'm much stronger and I will succeed definitely. Okay, so Jay from Losing Streak Gaming isn't here. Tough luck. And I think Ada Wong wants a word with you, Jay. And here it is.
Do yourself a favor. Stop asking questions and get the hell out of here.
Joking. Jay, anytime you're available, just tell me. But yeah, all my friends from Losing Streak Gaming, also the Games to Luck show, also out here. So another question regarding dying, like if you were given only one continue, do you think you would be able to finish the game?
What? If I
Multiple,
were only to be
yeah, only
given one, what?
continue. Yeah, so only one continue. When you die, you only respawn once, and you don't get to play the game anymore. Do you think you'll be able to play, still have that enjoyment of playing it the same way you're enjoying it now, or no?
No. Because I know I'm gonna die right away.
Yeah.
but like,
Mm,
okay, if you were to ask me this last year, I would
mm,
say no, like right away no. But then now there's a part of me that would still want to try and see how far I could last, you know. That
mm.
they're still there. I might not last that long, but I'd still try, I guess.
I think it's also a simulator of sorts because most of what's happening there, based on what I've seen, it could be also translating what might happen in real life. And actually, my number three is also going to be mostly the same, but it's not a first-person shooter. It's more third person, I think. I can't remember even the orientation of the games, but this also had Game of the Year before. And
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of this game. The second game sucks very bad. I know Jay and also Jazz and probably Kuya Balls knows what I'm about to say, and it's The Last of Us 1. One of
Oh.
the best games of all time, is my opinion. So there's a lot to dissect when it comes to The Last of Us 1. I'm not sure if you have played it already.
I haven't
Yeah.
yet. I want to, but I haven't.
I think your boyfriend will actually consider, or at least asking to play it, because if you love Dying Light, you might as well get a swing on this one. Give a swing on this one, because if you're looking for a great story and also great video elements, controls, action per se, this is probably one of the best games in the past 10 years. And again, it's a post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic game which involves another virus of sorts. People with their obsessions with virus, for some reason. You always see it. Resident Evil, Dying Light, this game. Okay, so you get to control a father. His name is Joel, and there's a lot of real world stuff that's happening. And the main reason why I chose this as my number three, it's because you get to realize quickly who are the most important people in your life. Life and death scenarios, you get to know the real people, those who have your back, those who can actually help you, even if it means that they need to sacrifice something on their end. So in a life or death scenario, you need to trust these people, or at least have a group of friends or family members that you could trust with your life. In the same way, they could also trust you in return. So no, that's number one. Main thing I've learned there. Number two is also building a relationship with someone is also the second great thing about this game, because you're thrown in with Joel, who's a father who lost his. Okay, I'm not gonna dive in there because it's a very good story, and I hope you play it. But basically, Joel will be partnering with a younger girl named Sally, and throughout the game, you'll be building up the relationship. It's difficult for games to do that. You get to have a partner you build up a relationship with, but here the story was really written so well. You remember that relationship going towards another game or even the second game. What my take there is, in real life, we always build relationships. People, me reaching out to you, you get to collaborate with some stuff like this. I get to also know you in a personal level based on the content that you give to people, the same way that I do. And there's nothing more important in this world but identifying who the real friends are, and also building that trust and relationship throughout the years, because once you reach that point in your life that you get to assess who the real people are, you'll get at least one, two, three, even four people that you can trust. And that's important for everyone to know, that not everyone will be your friend. It's the
Mhm.
same thing that you learn in all these survival horror games. Not everyone's your friend. There will be only two people you could trust, and sometimes only one. But at least you get to build that relationship and also share the suffering that they have, learn from it, and apply it on your own journey. It's very hard not to spoil this game because at this point in time, it's around 10 years ago, or I think, no, 9, 10 years ago, this game was launched. But Joel went through a lot of stuff. He lost a lot of people. He wasn't really able to come with grasp of what happened. The first part of the game, if you're not planning to play the game, the walkthrough is available on YouTube. Even just the cutscenes itself would explain why it's Game of the Year. But yeah, Joel went through a lot. Ellie also went through a lot, and the end, it kind of felt more like a father-daughter relationship rather than a
Mm.
partner or something like that. Just a regular adventure partner. It felt a lot more connected. So for people who really want to see a character analysis of Joel and also Ellie, you could just watch the game and play it as a movie, because there are cutscenes, movies there. Just dive into it. It's very, very interesting and also very entertaining. And as with relationships, it's not always fun in games. You could see them fighting, you could see them actually swearing against each other. But I think in all relationships, you reach to a point that you need to confront each other, especially if you have opposite or what do you call this, conflicting views in life. Not everyone else would have the same views that you have. Number one, especially nowadays, everything's getting political. Everything's getting uh,
Oh yeah, true.
common sense.
For
Yeah,
sure.
common sense is already going out of the window, and probably Isa and I probably are not aligned for the most part, but it doesn't stop us from talking, because we both have common sense and we both love what we do. We both love the scenario. So building a relationship with people, you shouldn't let anything, to be honest with you, you shouldn't let anything get into the way, unless there's that unless it really is very because it's confronting to the way that you live.
Yeah.
So what I could take here right now, and also people out there, you could implement this. Don't unfriend anyone without any reason, to be honest. Who knows, maybe in the future, these are your friends, these are your family members. And at the end, you have, sorry, you need people that you trust in the end. And you really don't know to trust nowadays. So keep your friends close. And I'm not sure if enemies closer, as they say, but just keep your friends close, and probably keep your best friends closer to you. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's what I could say about what I learned from The Last of Us. Again, very good game. if people would like to revisit an action horror game with very good elements, with very good incredible storytelling, besides learning a lot of family dynamics, please do replay it again. Someone who went in here, I'm not sure if it's your friend. Okay,
Oh
shout out.
no, that's my friend Jim. Hi
Good
Jim.
evening. Again, good evening to people out there. I have Isa here from Equipped, and we're talking about our top 5 favorite games and what we've learned from it. And so far, we're already at number 3. Time time passed by so quickly. It's already an hour. So, um, before we go to the top 2, are there any other games? Let's say any other game that didn't make this list for you na dapat nandun siya. Okay. Or probably your what do you call this? I mean, what do you call it? Special mentions. You give me at least
Special
2 or 1.
mention.
Yeah.
Um, wait, I had to. My other 2 games.
Because when we get into number 1 and 2, it's going to be a very long stuff. Because these are the games that actually impacted us in an emotional
Yeah.
level. So
I don't
I'm
know.
giving you the floor to give any other games that you'd like to share with other people, with the people watching also.
Sige. I feel like I need to think about this first because, like, I know I played a lot more games. I just might not be able to recall them all right now.
Or maybe something that comes up in on top of your mind that you probably remember is very memorable to you. Except for the 2. Except for the next 2 we'll be talking about.
I'd have to say Final Star. I know it.
Fantasy Star? No.
PSO2. Yeah, I've mentioned the C also before in the past.
Yeah.
But like this is I would mention this game just because you know how I said Maplestory earlier and it is an MMORPG. At the time, because I didn't realize it was an MMORPG, I didn't appreciate the fact that it was. And so I only really got into MMORPGs, or not get into, but I started appreciating them more after I started playing PSO2. That was only 2020, if I'm not mistaken, late 2020, yeah. Because and I have another episode about this because I was always someone that felt kind of shy, or like I would get intimidated by a group of people, a group of players that were so much more better than me, and I just didn't want to be that person that was the weak link or something. And so that's how I have always perceived MMORPGs until late 2020 when I started PSO2. And the reason why I like PSO2 was because I don't know, that's when I really understood why it's nice to play with people you don't know. Like my fear of being the weak one sort of drifted away because now I got to see like, oh yeah, it's so nice and it's so fun to be able to defeat this giant with a bunch of people like helping you out. And it's sort of like this communal understanding almost, like because again, oh wait, no, this was the only game that I wasn't a mage pala. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I was a gunner in this game. That was the first time that I've never chosen like a mage. I didn't really like their mage system there, but something that I appreciate about this game is it made me realize that there is this somehow communal understanding, well, at least in the gaming space, and probably yeah, in real life too, that people have different roles to play, and you all have like your own strengths, you all have your own things that you can bring to the table, and once you know which people are like the best to help you out with something, then it's gonna be an amazing like accomplishment, not only for you but like for the entire group. Because I remember when the game released like these new bosses or something, they were like giants around the map. Everyone sort of understood like, okay, you need to be this certain level to deal a good amount of damage. We need more support, or we need people that are damage dealers, all that stuff. And you would just see people comment like, you know, the typical chat system in MMORPGs. And seeing that from that game, that was the moment I was like, okay, maybe MMORPGs are a good, are like are games that I could possibly be more interested in, and I did. I tried a lot more after that, but it all started with that game. So special mention to PSO2. And also they had a very nice skin where I could be
Mm.
this round chicken, and I very much enjoyed that because I was a gunner, and so I had two guns with me, and I was a fat, like I was a round fat chicken. It was it was really funny to look at, especially in cutscenes. So yeah, I just had to mention that, of course.
Now I'm trying to look for anything related to that. So I wanted to see. Is it this?
Fantasy Star Online
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Let me just share the screen to my this. Is it this? No.
Yeah, that's
This
the
one?
suit I used. But like I made mine super big because like my build was kind of chubby. So
What?
like I was really round. I was rounder than that, like what's in the photo. It's called a
Sorry.
wrappy suit.
W- what exactly is going on here? What? What kind of positive attributes that you get from this suit?
It was
Yeah, it
nice. It was just funny because like I
kind of
had guns
baffles me.
with me. Oh my gosh.
It looks
Yeah,
funny,
I think that's
definitely,
how
but
it looked like in the original game. And then now in the
mm,
second version, it's the round one.
oh my god.
But yeah, I spent
I
money on
think
that. I mean, no, I didn't spend real money, but I grinded for a lot of in currency coins there just to buy
currency
that
game.
suit.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
I have
you
no
and
regrets.
Jazz need to talk about this game in the future. I know he's
Oh
also a
really?
fan of PSO. Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
Jazz, at least now, yeah. Uh, I think you know that he also has the series name. Well, that's, I think it's about
What
talking
I
about
love.
things that you love. Yeah. What I love.
Mhm.
Maybe. Let's see. I think he's also looking for people who like to give what do you call this some love towards other games, and also dive into lore or whatever you like about games. He's pretty much open talking about that. So it's hard for me to choose a nominee. Sorry, a special mention, because basically all of the games that I played, I did enjoy. But I have to give it to Super Mario RPG, and it's
Oh
very. Do you know? Have you seen that before or not?
no.
Yeah, okay. So people mainly know Mario in the olden days, like the Super Mario 1, 2, 3, Super Mario World. It's probably a very, let's say, an open secret that Square developed an RPG for the title Super Mario. And there's nothing really what do you call this significant when playing that game. Probably things that you learn is you could translate Super Mario into an RPG and you get a very very entertaining game. It isn't as hard. Let's say when you play Final Fantasy 7, 8, or 9, it's really not that hard. So you could breeze through the game probably around 2 hours if you're very knowledgeable, if you played it before. But there's a lot of add-ons there, a lot of secret stuff, a lot of weapons that you could unlock, which is a very very tedious if you're going to side quest stuff like that. And probably the most important thing that you get to learn is whoever your enemies are before, there might come a time that they'd have that realization and apologize. I think that's the main underlying theme when you play these kinds of games. there's always a redemption arc, as I say. If they choose to be, I'm sorry, if they choose to do so, you can't force people to apologize in first place, because if they do, it's just very fabricated, doesn't feel real. But in case of Super Mario's what do you call this? Super Mario's history, you always get to fight Bowser or King Koopa, depending on what version of the gameplay, Japanese or the American UK. So there are a lot of times you get to tussle around with Bowser, and in some way and form, especially in this game, he will join the team. He's not gonna apologize straight on. He's just going to offer his services and also make fools out of you, because that's what tyrants do, or at least alpha males do, and also villains. But as the game, what do you call this, progresses, you get to see, yeah, Bowser is not a bad guy. It's just basically misunderstood. It's like having that yin and yang that always needs to exist in life. He's always the yang, and you have to be the
Mhm.
yin to create balance. So again, there will come a time when people will apologize to you, depending on how severe the issues you have with that person. Maybe very dramatic, maybe cost you a lot. So it's still up to you if you'd like to have them back in your life. Sometimes you, probably 90% of the time, you won't. You have to weigh in how severe the issue was, or at least probably talk to that person when he apologizes. Be civil, be professional, and weigh in if you like to still have that person in your life moving forward. If they do ask for forgiveness, I think everyone deserves to be forgiven at some point. But it really depends on the problems were or are, or even currently. So yeah, there's all number one is there's always a redemption factor, or the redemption arc for people, and I believe in second, third chances, but nothing after that. So if people would like to get a gaming recommendation, it's very funny because you could hack a PSP
Mm.
console, and you could play this game in the PSP. So I've played it twice ever since last year, and I haven't even unlocked everything. That's how, not really hard, but that's how long that game is if you like to be a completionist, because you have to deal with a lot of stuff, and also side quests that doesn't make sense. You have to go into a casino, and you have to win 100 times against an AI who probably knows what your next move is. I haven't broken to that until now, so probably in the future, hopefully, get to stay home longer. Might play that game again, just for the fan of it. So I think that'll be my special mention, or this number six. So we're nearing the top two now. Actually, this will be the top two discussion. And let's go ahead and start with you, Isa. What will be your number two?
Yeah. Before I go to my number two game,
Your
I noticed like for your lessons, most of them involve like relational stuff. I kind of find that interesting
mm, mm,
because it's true, right? Like the interconnectedness, the things that really life entails when it comes to having to deal with other people and knowing that you have to know what the right people for yourself are, like, right? I don't
mm.
know. Nice.
You know what game also has that? Dying Light.
Mm. Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
get yeah,
wait,
you get to
let's
interact
say
with
a
people you
spoiler.
don't even understand. Sometimes you prejudge them based on how they look, especially those people who look what they call this, um, crazy enough, like especially those who with so much tattoos, and you know that stereotype,
Rice.
and
Oh
you
my
have to
god.
determine if they're actually a good fit in your survival team or not. In some
Hmm.
cases, not. Most cases, they do. But yeah, I I, I don't know, because it's because I love looking into relationships. It's actually one
Hmm.
of the most interesting facets of life, is to be able to understand people. And
Yeah, that's true.
because if you don't understand, number one, you have to understand yourself first before you try to understand others.
Yes, yes.
And I heard you saying this before. You said this before.
one of your episodes that, and it's also a famous saying that no man is an island. So I think this was probably one of your earlier episodes when you talked about that. And knowing those people or those friends that you probably can count them by your hand that would be able to back you up in the long run would mean a lot moving forward in life, especially nowadays that you can't really even trust anyone. And understanding the limitations that you have as a person, you also get to filter out the right people once you know what your personal and also emotional stance are,
Yeah.
how you gauge yourself towards others, and the self-respect that you have will determine who would stay in your life more. So I'm a big fan of personal development, though it seemed to be very what do you call this? It seems to be focusing so much on yourself. Sounds arrogant, but no. The main reason why I love personal development because it's just the same with interacting with other people. You just need to see first where you stand in the world, and you get to understand yourself more. You get to know where you fit in this world, and it's hard to fit in a quote unquote society that you have to live by their standards rather than your own first.
Yeah.
I'm a very uncompromising person when it comes to that. That's why a lot of people
I
don't
know.
like me, to be honest. A lot of people don't like me because I'm very uncompromising, but that's also the same trait, and that's why I have only very few that I trust. But I have intellectual friends like you. I also trust at some point. But when it comes to life in that scenario, I only have actually 2 or 3 people that I trust that could have my back. Sabihin natin na magkakaroon ng zombie apocalypse. These are the people I actually know that we could stand by together, and also we won't be stabbing each other in the back when that scenario comes. But yeah, hope that gives a bit of insight why I keep on picking relationship based what do you call this character studies, and also how it implements in real life.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Thanks. All right, number 2.
All right. Okay. I forgot. I forgot for a second there. All right, number 2. Okay.
Because I know people will be listening right now. They're also interested in what you have to say in your top 2. And
Oh
what
my
you said
gosh.
earlier, it's really telling that these remaining games are the ones who really had an impact on your life. I'm also very interested in knowing them as well. I'm not entirely sure if I know, or at least something comes up in my head right now that I know, but I'm not gonna guess because I really don't know your gaming history except for the games that you've mentioned before. So let's see. Let's see. So before she plays number 2, let me just give a bit of a laugh here. Just to break up something there. Na mapindot para medyo matawa tayo ng konti. But yeah, Isa, you could go ahead. The floor is yours for your number 2 game.
Okay. Okay. So this one, I thought about this. Like I really thought about what would be my top 5, and um I knew that this game would have to be within this spot. I think this would be the best spot for this game. It's Elden Ring. Like this isn't recency bias. This isn't hype or anything. I really thought about it. Because again, my list is all about how much a game has impacted me and also like the sentimental value that is attached to it. Elden Ring. Earlier, Jazz commented like you might get good gaming stuff. Like that's what impacted him in a good way. This is the game that really, really, really pushed me out of my comfort zone. Like I made an episode about Elden Ring. Like that's just how much I really love it as of the moment. I think I've been playing it for a good 80 hours now. But I don't know. Earlier with Dying Light, I said like that was the game that sort of was the beginning of me going out of my comfort zone because it was horror and there was a lot of action to it. But Elden Ring, I have never played any Souls game. I have never known what good
Mhm.
gaming was until I heard of Elden Ring. I just didn't know what it was. And for whatever reason though, it was one of the games that I was anticipating this year. I also explained this in the episode because of its novelty and also just like the backstory, like after watching its trailer. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, I kept hearing about From Software, the game development company behind it, and then that's when I learned about all the Souls game more in depth. And I saw what people were saying. Souls games are hard and
Yeah,
they will
they are.
make you, rage quit. They're going to make you frustrated. And that sort of helped me set my expectations for this game. Like I was expecting it to be hard as anybody should. And I don't know, like if Dying Light taught me how to dodge and started to teach me how to fight. This game, besides the combat, this one taught me how to be patient, actually, which is
Mm.
surprising. I think in real life I'm quite a patient person, but I
Mm.
am a reactive person still. That's still something that I'm trying to work on. And with this game, I'm just like, okay, wait, let me start with the combat first because
Sure.
I've died so many times. I have two examples in the episode that I released last week of what really taught me um, how resilient and how patient I can be with this game because this game will make you die. This game will make you suffer and have a hard time for, for how many hours or so, depending on how good you are. And coming into this game with those expectations, I think it's something that I've never done before. Like, again, I was someone that I love being prepared, I love having a plan. And because I like to sort of not be surprised by things. Like if something too out of proportions happened, like the pandemic, I would very much freak out. Like that's just who I am. And that's something that I had to sort of, work around and try to get better at. And with this game, I don't even know where to start. Like this game will just like always remind me that no matter how many times I might fail or how many times I might really have a difficult time or a horrible experience, there's always going to be a moment wherein I would eventually succeed and I would eventually accomplish something. And
Mm.
I'm going to take a few things I said from my episode. There was a section in this game wherein in order to get to like the very bottom, you had to go through a bunch of obstacles. And the more you go into this area, like the deeper you go because it's underground, the more enemies will show up, the more little surprises will pop up and try to attack you. There's a lot of things that you have to take in. There's a lot of things that you have to remember. Oh my gosh. Like I okay, I know I'm just like I sound all over the place, but this is how much
Ah.
this game has been very much impactful for me. Like when you're presented with a situation that's unfamiliar to you, or when you're about to do something that you've never done before and you have a lot of doubts, um, something that I very much picked up from this game is you can always, always, always take more and more information every single time. Every single time I died, I realized what my mistake was, and I had to keep that in mind for the next time that I would, try it again. And then I would die, and then I would take in more information, like what did I do wrong? Or if there was a new enemy that popped up, like I had to remember, like, okay, I can now anticipate that something's gonna pop here. I have to be prepared. Like all those things were like the thoughts that were going into my mind. I think this game was very much challenging for me in a good way, in the best way possible. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm now at a time where I am more welcoming to things that scare me, to things that challenge me, and that is something that I'm basically trying to work on this year, just like still taking new opportunities or not really giving into my doubts right away, more of just like giving things a shot. Even though if I might feel scared or if I'm feeling a bit hesitant, I'll still
Mm.
try my best to show up and do something rather than, my previous impulse, which is just to believe my doubts, believe my self-limiting beliefs. Um, but yeah, I love this game not just because of the difficulty of it, but also because of the lore. Oh my gosh! Besides my number one game, this is the game where I have very much been attached to many NPCs. And
Mhm.
I wish I didn't get attached to so many NPCs. But the lore behind the game, it's so nice. I didn't expect that this type of game would have such a deep and interconnected, intertwining storyline behind it. Because I was really just expecting the combat and the bosses, but I was shocked by how much stories are involved. Like, you really won't run out of things to do. And that's why I'm taking my time with this game. I know a lot of people that are almost done, they've finished the game, or like they're now just collecting all the achievements. I think I'm focusing on the side quests right now because again, I want to know more about the lore and also just like any other game out there that I enjoy, the visual aspect of it all, so nice. The mechanics, so nice.
Yeah.
The things that it taught me, so nice. Like, even though it has been stressful playing this game, not gonna lie, there were a lot of times that I was very much frustrated. It's kind of a good frustration, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I've never felt this way before. Like, I've never felt this way about a challenging game before. Like, Dying Light was maybe the start of it, but I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna try to finish this game. Though I very much enjoyed it. But with Elden Ring, I don't know. I think earlier you mentioned about finding a game at the right time, like when you were young.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
Maplestory came out a bit earlier than Ragnarok, you might have played it. For Elden Ring, I think it very much came at a right time for me, especially where I'm at right now in life. And I think that's why I'm just like so invested in it, and whenever I get the chance to talk about it, I'm just like, I'm gonna share everything I know. But yeah, Elden Ring is my number two. I have a lot more to say about my number one, but that's pretty much it.
The way you've been framing Elden Ring, it sounds like for me it was already your number one. But anyway, seems to have a bit of a technical issue out there. So Isa is gone. Try to hold the fort a little bit while she's returning, and now she's back.
I'm
Do you
so
know what
sorry. I don't
happened?
know what happened. My screen just like went away.
Not sure. It might be a problem with the internet because I'm
Okay,
looking at
sorry about
my what do you
that. I
call
was like,
this?
holy cow.
No, it's fine. I'm looking at my connection also. My connection
Yeah.
keeps on going down for some reason, but when I'm looking at the bit rate and everything, the speed test seems to be fine. So this might
Yeah, I feel like it
be
was on my end. Sorry about
mhm,
that. Oh
that's
my
fine.
goodness.
A friend of mine here, former colleague, I think you'd be able to what do you call
Oh
this
my
this
gosh.
question. So, would you like to read it? And also, since you're a big fan
Yeah,
of Minecraft,
yeah.
yeah, sure.
So Minecraft taught me how dangerous and difficult the lives of miners are. I died in game from suffocation from gravel, fell into a ravine, fell into lava, and the dark and confined space is scary. I
Is it real?
100%
It's a
agree with you,
game.
Pam. Oh my gosh, I felt all those emotions as well. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Oh.
I,
That's why I
I
have a
think
lot of light torches with me all the time.
now I think I need to look into Minecraft. I haven't really played or even attempted to play Minecraft, but now I have a new PC. So let's see.
Ooh,
Let's see.
nice.
It's not an up-to-date PC. Won't be able to play Elden Ring, whatsoever, but at least I could do this and do some other stuff, edit videos and so on. Probably replay other games. Before we proceed, also, have you played Portal before? Nothing.
No, I've heard of it. My boyfriend wants to play it, but I've
Yeah,
never
you two,
played it.
if you like to test your relationship with your boyfriend, you must play this one. It's going
It's
to
been
be
tested so
fun.
many times in game.
Yeah, because I heard a lot of people having some relationship issues or problems while playing that
Really?
game. Yeah,
Oh my
because
gosh.
both
Okay.
of you
Noted,
guys need to
noted.
be no both of you guys need to be in sync for the most part. So one decision could cost you, or at least one of you, one of you guys the life of your characters. So it's fun, but you guys might enjoy it. Since your
Okay.
boyfriend seems to
Noted.
know it already, you guys will enjoy it. Especially, I think you guys already have that deep relationship, not just surface level. So, yeah, it's a good couples game for me. And if you like something else, you guys probably get into each other's throats. Try playing Mario Kart.
Mario Kart?
Yes, especially if you guys reach a level that you already know the game. It's like it really would depend on how competitive you guys are. That's what I could say about Mario Kart because I've
Oh my
seen people
gosh.
actually swearing against each other, and these are best friends. Yeah, so it's something very cool and probably an idea for for content also. But it's fun. Actually, it's fun. So again, guys, the Elden Ring recommendations from Isa. Just heard it a
The
few
hype,
minutes ago.
it
So
lived up
yeah,
to the hype, let me just say.
I think Jazz and some other guys could also are playing it right now. So
Yeah, I can't watch Jazz's streams because he's so ahead of my story and I don't want to get spoiled.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I haven't played any of those kinds of games, to be honest, and I have little to no interest at this point. Not because I don't want to, it's because I don't have the time to pay for
Yeah,
it. If I do have
that's
the
fine.
technology, and again, if I do have money, well, why not? And if I wasn't paying the exorbitant amount here in our condo, probably have PS4, PS5 at this point. Played the hell out of games that I want to play, and Elden Ring probably one of them, one of those games in the list, alongside Last of Us One again. Just like to play that game over and over just because of the story. But this number two game, I want this game to be remade by the people who actually love this franchise
Oh,
and not just remake it in the sense like they want sales out of it just because it's in an established franchise, as I said a while ago. But it makes sense during this day to do this just because of what's happening. And my number two is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake
oh,
Eater.
you've
So,
talked about this before.
yeah, Metal Gear Solid as a game itself is a very iconic franchise, the tactical espionage type of game where you go inside the base. You get missions from uh, someone in chain of command. You get to control Snake, one of the altered humans, to say, get into missions. You fight bosses. You also get information. You talk to other people. It's basically straightforward. But the main thing about playing Metal Gear is you are subjected to one of the best stories in a game franchise. So Metal Gear One did that. Metal Gear Two, actually, I think no, I think I gave you guys Silent Hill to react before. But I also have some content regarding Metal Gear Two because Metal Gear Two, there are some facets of that game that reflect right now, especially the AI. Um, Hideo Kojima is a big brain individual. He got some stuff right about AI and also tech censorship up to a T. All of the stuff that he said around 20 years ago did come to pass, and it's very scary and also very very informative. I'll share it to you later off stream. But yeah, I think that's it. Number three, I'm sorry, my number two, Metal Gear Solid 3, basically revolves around the original Snake, which is the Naked Snake, as they say, the original boss. again, this is a relationship um based game because you have your character and he has a mentor named the boss. It's more of a mother and also son type of relationship that they have rather than the usual master sensei or whatever they call it. So the main thing that I learned about this game, applying in real life again, is to be grateful for the stuff that you have. Be grateful for the people who contributed on your development as a person. To also be happy that you get to experience the experience. Sorry, you get to live through the experiences that you have along the way. Because God knows we don't have much in this world, to be honest. We don't know when. So we have to give credence to the people who helped build us up, the people who actually contributed the goodness, sorry, the best parts of our lives, starting probably with our parents. Me, in my case, with my mom, I could actually give a parallel comparison with boss's relationship with the boss's relationship with Naked Snake or Snake. Um, those people who actually were in our in our developmental years as people or at least individuals, those who gave us inspiration on how we need to do things, how we stand up for ourselves. We have to all get that information and knowledge and also use that in our everyday lives, but also be thankful that we met these people regardless if they're still with us or not, and never forget them. That's basically it. It's very simple. Comes to application. It's actually most one of the most basic things when looking into games, the relationship. But it sometimes get overlooked because of the fact that we have other factors like yeah, the graphics are good, storyline is good, uh the other facets of the games are good, and then you, or at least some people forget that yeah, there are dynamics between the characters. You get to speak with the cutscenes that they're presenting you in the game. I tend to look at everything, connecting everything, especially with these types of games. So, what is the relationship between the boss and its opponents? He also gets to meet his rival in this game, who is Revolve or Ocelot, another relationship-based factor that I could dive into, but that's a very long talk because that rivalry crosses through the other games as well. And it's very funny because Metal Gear 3 is the origin story for the entire thing for Metal Gear Solid. So I know you're not going to play it, so I'm just going to spoil it. Basically, the boss betrayed Snake in one of the missions. So now you're in a rampage because you didn't know why this happened. Why did the boss side with the bad guys? And realizing in the end that the main reason why is she wanted to protect you and also the future. But it didn't make any sense back then because again, you're using the character who's supposed to be the hero and knowing in the end that you have to kill the person who almost raised you up just because of some ideologies that you don't align with. That's one of the toughest things that I've subjected myself into in the game. That you have to pull that. Sorry, you have to pull that trigger against your mentor, and it's also one of the most iconic events in gaming. Imagine sabihin natin na you have to pull your trigger against your mom. That's how sad it was, right?
Mhm.
And very impactful because in the end, I think there's a quote there that the boss said. Let me just pull up the quote. Um, did your boyfriend play Metal Gear before or no?
What was that?
Did your boyfriend play Metal Gear before, or you
I
had
don't
no
think
idea?
so.
Oh my god, good. This is actually one of the games that it could really translate into movie format if they really wanted it to. Problem is you have to give it to a production team who actually loves the source material and also be able to give justice on, because it's a $1 million franchise. So yeah, here, this is, I think, will be the last words, or at least some sort of, I raised you, I loved you, I've given you weapons, taught you techniques, endowed you with knowledge. There's nothing more for me to give you. All that all that's left for you to take is my life by your own hand. One must die, one must live. No victory, no defeat. The survivor will carry on the fight. This is our destiny. The one who survives will inherit the title of boss. And the one who inherits the title of the boss will face an existence of endless battle. So that I think that was the last quote that the boss said before she died, before you decide
Wow.
to pull the trigger. And the saddest part of this one, unlike other games that you have multiple endings, you don't have multiple endings on this one. It's
Oh,
you have to
it
pull
was
the trigger.
destined to happen.
Yeah. It's also the same thing when you get to play. Nah, I'm not gonna mention, because there's another game who went out, I think 2 years ago, and Evander's, so one of my friends, I think he also follows you. He played this game, and I kept reminding him of how close this game was with Metal Gear 3. And then up to the point of the last part of the game, and then he agreed, yeah, this is almost as close as Metal Gear 3 that we ever have. So again, Metal Gear 3, you have to identify and also give thanks. Never forget the people who help you out and also impacted your life in a positive way. Never forget your family. Never forget your parents, especially those who raised you, given you the stuff that you need. Those who backed you up in the long run. Those who believe in you. So I think that's enough for me when it comes to Metal Gear.
Beautiful, beautiful. So na.
Yeah, I hate having word salad because of internet and also getting time late. But anyway, let's see if there are any other comments. As far as now, there's other comments concerned. And yeah, for the three people out here right now, again, we're about to give our final game, or a number one game. But let me just reintroduce to you again, Iza Gonzalez from Equipped. You could also follow her page, check out her content. It's in the description of this video. Very informative stuff that she has. Honestly, she dives into more stuff, which also gives a lot more common sense on how you use in-game experiences and also tactics, and how you also use it in real life. Yeah, very cool stuff. I think she's also now interviewing other people as well, besides the main podcast that she has when she dives into the equipped side of gaming. But yeah, let me just give you the opportunity to name your number one right now.
Oh my gosh. Ito na. Oh my gosh. JM, if I go overboard or if I start speaking too
No, it's
long,
fine.
feel free to stop me because I know I'm gonna have a lot to say about this game. Okay. So
You know me, I don't really stop people from talking as much
yeah,
as they
that's
want
true.
to do. This is the good thing about my format. I really don't stop people unless they want to stop. So yeah, so this will be the final segment of this game. We've now reached number one. So
Yes. Ito
Easy is
na
about
guys.
to
The
give us a
game
number
that
one
is
game.
number one on my list, it is, oh my gosh, God of War 2018. Now wait, before I get into
Okay,
why this
okay.
is on my list, I unfortunately am someone that was not able to play the previous God of Wars because they came out during a time that, again, remember my big gap of not playing video
Yes.
games? Yeah,
The
that's where it all
2010
happened.
until 2014, all right? No.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was not
Okay.
playing anything back then.
Okay.
And I also didn't have any consoles with me at the time when we moved to the Philippines. besides a laptop. But yeah, anyway, I played God of War 2018 last year lang. And I don't know where to start. Like, the reason why I knew this was gonna be my number one is because this is the only game when I was playing it, like right in the middle of, cutscenes and stuff when I'm not fighting. This was the only game that made me take out my phone and type things that I hear from the characters, because like I just knew that these were things that I had to remember. And this game has such amazing storytelling. Like, I have never seen such amazing storytelling from a video game before. And also, besides that, though, graphics amazing. That's already a given. But also, I played this game on the difficulty called Give Me a Challenge. Charot. Give me a challenge. This is like the second hardest setting that you can play the game on. I forgot what the hardest mode is, or like what the name for it is, but I played it
Sparta.
on Give Me a Oh yeah, maybe. I played it on Give Me a Challenge. I knew it was gonna be more combat heavy, and I feel like, you know how earlier I said that Dying Light 2 taught me how, I mean, no, not Dying Light 2. I don't want to play that game. Dying Light 1, that game taught me how to dodge, right? God of War is the game that really taught me how to fight.
Oh
Like, I
yeah.
feel like Dying Light prepared me for God of War, and I feel like God of War prepared me for Elden Ring, because like the level, the progression of the combat difficulty just like increased as I kept playing those games. And this God of War game, this is where again I just paid more attention to the enemies. They were freaking hard. I don't understand how hard they were. Like, this was a game where I knew that I couldn't rush into things. Um and is it all right if I read off the list of phrases that I wrote down when I was playing this game? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Is
sure.
that fine?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Because oh my gosh, like again, this game, there's so many things that I surprisingly took from it. Like, I knew I was invested in it because of the graphics, mostly at the very beginning, the graphics. But then as the lore uncovered, as you start to understand like where Atreus comes from, where Kratos comes from, where all the other characters come from, it's just like so many things to take in. And I just want to read some of the things that really struck me from playing this game. So the first one, this is very early on in the game. I think this is from the first one of the first few cutscenes in God of War
Mhm.
2018. Kratos says the importance of accuracy over speed when he was
Yeah.
teaching Atreus how to like kill a deer or hunt
Yeah.
for a deer.
How do you say the bow and arrow basically?
Yeah. And I can honestly say, also a reason why this game struck me is I could very much see myself in Atreus because he was a hothead. He was very much the guy that, wanted to feel like he was ready, or wanted to feel like he was capable, and he was rushing into all these things. And here's Kratos, the angry dad, that was just saying, no, no, you're not ready yet. And Kratos would, I mean, no, not Kratos, but Atreus would just like
Mhm.
feel down. And that's something that I related to because let me continue reading from this list. There was another line here. It says, letting your anger take over can take you down difficult paths. Wow. This one hit me a lot because, again, I was a very reactive person. I'm less reactive now. I'm very happy to say that. But there were a lot of moments wherein I just knew that I gave into my anger and I gave into my stress and my frustration. And that
Mhm.
very much affected how I would try to approach things. Instead of actually finding solutions, I would most likely just complain about my situation rather than trying to get myself out of it and trying to, turn things around. And when I heard this, I was like, wow, yeah, that's a nice reminder for myself. And the next one I have here, it says, I think this was Atreus that said it. I hope it was Atreus that said it. It says, it was easy. I was just impatient. And I was like, what?
I think that's something Atreus would say. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Right? I think so
Honestly,
too.
I haven't played the entirety of the game, but I've played all of the other ones. So I'm
Nice.
going to say something about that later. So
Okay.
in comparison, you played 2018. I know 2018 because I played some of it, but I haven't finished it. I just watched most of it. So I'm going to give
Mhm.
a perspective in comparison on who Kratos was before this game. So
Yeah, no,
you'll
that's the thing.
mm,
Before I played this game, my boyfriend made it a point to make me watch the previous God of War games, like the playthroughs, so that I could understand where Kratos was really coming from. And I was
yeah.
so thankful that he made me watch all those videos, like on
Because you
YouTube. I was
won't
like,
understand Kratos as a stand if you didn't know what happened to him before.
yeah, I'm
And
so glad.
it's like the
It's crazy.
whole it's crazy, and also it's like the whole Iliad thing or the Odyssey that he went through. People know
Mm,
Greek mythology. It's not 100% accurate, but the drama surrounding Kratos' existence is one of the best backstories that you could give for a character like him. The main reason why he did what he had to do to take over the mantle of being the god of war and
yeah,
being sucked into that unwillingly. Yeah,
yeah,
it was one of the best parts of that game. Even though if you get to play one right now, it doesn't really hold up in a technology standpoint or graphic standpoint, but the way they treated the characters back then, one, two, and I think Ascension was incredible. So yeah, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead and continue with your journey with
No,
God of War in
no.
2018.
Yeah, because like knowing the backstory was really important for this game. And though I did not get to play the previous God of Wars, I definitely have seen why it matters. And I have three more here. The next one is there's a fine line between ambition and greed. When I heard that, I was like, yes, that's why so many people are suffering today. Like, I've always during I played this last year, right? And then this was like happening at a time wherein I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I would say, for the next year or so, just year actually. And I couldn't help but think about like what was going on at the time. I think there was just like a lot of news. I think this was when Jeff Bezos wanted to go to like I think this is when he launched or something. Basta may
Yeah,
nangyari, and it was all about billionaires and a lot of talk about billionaires and why they keep wanting more per se. And this line makes so much sense. There's a fine line between ambition and greed. Yes, it's okay to have dreams. It's okay to pursue them. It's okay to accomplish them with other people. But then when you start to sort of mix that with your own personal gain and greed, your own personal wants starts to take over, that's really when things start to go south. Like, yes, you can continue creating more and more and more and more and more or earning more and more and more, but then there's a huge downside to that that I think a lot of people that are already there in that position don't realize because they're just sort of blinded by this at this point by everything that they still want. And I personally don't want to get to that point. Like, I have dreams, I think. I have dreams. I don't think I have dreams, but I definitely know that there's gonna be contentment and there's gonna be a part of me that's just gonna be okay if like I don't really want to be the richest person in the world. I just want to be able to live a nice life that I enjoy. And this line I think is such a nice reminder because obviously we're all humans. There might be some days wherein we can forget or we can be blinded or clouded by things that we think are so important, but actually they're not as important as they really seem to be. Um, I love that line. And the next one I have here is don't concern yourself on what might. Be focused. Oh wait, no, wait, I read that wrong. Don't concern yourself on what might be. Focus on what is. This one hit me because I was always someone that um focused on what might happen, worrying about the future, um anticipating bad situations that might happen, whether it would be in my relationship, my family, the Philippines, everything. I would find something to worry about. And I think it was, yeah, only when the pandemic hit, that's when I really started to realize like there's gonna come a time wherein you realize the difference between preparing for your future and forgetting to live your life. And I think um, a good a good amount of my life I spent worrying too much that I just didn't get to enjoy what I was experiencing at the time. There were a lot of things that I was there, but I didn't really get to appreciate it as much as I could because I was too focused on, trying to prepare even more for the future. But then again, that was out of worry, that was out of fear. And that took up a lot of my brain cells and a lot of my headspace. And so now I'm definitely better at just looking at my life, like not like I knowing that I have plans, knowing that there's a place that I want to be at maybe someday, but also knowing that I can still enjoy where I am right now. I think I forgot what the saying was. It was like, um, actually, I don't remember. It was something like you can prepare for the future while still enjoying today, or something like that. And that's what I'm trying to remember every single day. But yeah, and the last thing that I have here was or is don't be sorry, be better. And so I think this is the one that I struggle with the most out of everything that is written here. I know that I'm a lot more better, or like I'm in a better place than I was a couple of years ago, mentally, spiritually, all that stuff. But then at the same time, I know that there are things that I still have to improve on. And um obviously when you make a mistake, the first impulse should be to say sorry to whoever you might
Mhm.
have affected negatively, or even to yourself. But then what's even more important than acknowledging that you made a mistake is trying to make sure that the chances of making that mistake again is a lot lower. And that can only be done if you decide to be better. And deciding to be better means you have to remember what you did wrong, or you have to remember what your mistake was and what sort of prompted you to do it in the first place. And hopefully, if those same situations pop up, a part of you will remember, like, oh, wait, no, 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 no. We can't sort of go down that, the road that we went last time. There's a different approach to it. And again, this is something that I'm still working on. My boyfriend can attest to this. But yeah, I don't know. This game, these are just a few things that I've gotten from this game. But the fact that they're very much things that I still remember, I still very much appreciate. I love the game. I love the game. And I remember when I finished the game, I still have to kill the Valkyries because you can continue playing on. Um, I remember I watched a documentary of how this game was created, and I think this game just checks all the boxes for me, like combat, lore, storyline, visuals, but then also giving props to the people behind it, like them showing their process of how long it took to create this game, this only game, not even considering the entire franchise, and noticing would have how much of the game would have been different if they had not listened to the game testers, if they had not done their very best to put out a game that really made sense. And I just want to share something that I remember from that documentary, because in God of War 2018, you can also fight with Atreus. I mean, you can fight using Atreus, but in the original concept, he wasn't really a fighting element in the game. He was mostly like someone that was following Kratos around. And that was something that the game tester pointed out, and they had to rework it given like the limited time that they had. And when I learned that that was what happened, I was like, wow. I very much enjoyed Atreus' skills, and the fact that there was a chance that that might have not been there that's just crazy to me. And again, just like appreciating the people behind these games that we enjoy. Like, you can't take them out the picture. You have to understand that there's a certain passion that can't really be described behind the people that put in their lives into these games. These games that you and I are talking about, a lot of people had to work on it to bring it into life, and a lot of people had to, sacrifice a lot of things in order to get it out into the public. And just again, watching that documentary, just like, wow, very, very nice. Like, props to them for, taking that time, taking that I don't know, it's, again, I'm out of words now because it's just a great game. And seeing it come full circle, like understanding what went behind it, was very, very much impactful for me. This would be a game that I would like to play again, honestly,
Mm.
on a different setting, but I would very much want to play it again. And yeah, that's my number one game.
Yeah, that I think that's a very lengthy discussion on its own, and I would again concur that you have to create another program when you talk about these games in depth, like a video essay and stuff, because the experiences that we have in playing video games, we don't have the same or approach it the same way other people would just like to be that shallow person. Yeah, I just like to play a good game. Definitely God of War 3 and 4. I think all of the God of War games are probably on top. And I haven't played a lot of the God of War. The only time I actually played it was when I went overnight on one of my close friends' house, because the next day was APCC, Asia Pop Comic Con, and we were cosplaying. He was cosplaying Deadpool, and I was cosplaying Red Hood, another Batman character. So I asked him, "Hey, pre, palaro naman ako. Try ko naman yung God of War." Yeah, something sure. I played. I was immediately blown away for seeing, because the amount of detail that they have visually, it was probably way more advanced than people give it credit to. And this was actually coming out, I think, a few months, I guess, before Resident Evil 2. And that was also a very good visual game. But if you're going to look at God of War 4 in a storyline standpoint, none of it makes sense in the first part of the if you remember that. None of it makes sense. But as the game goes through the second phase, third phase, and also the last phase, you get to uncover secrets on why Kratos is where he is right now. Especially when they revealed that his wife got killed in order for both of them to be protected. That gives a lot of weight on what kind of character they've built for Kratos, and also moving forward. And we also get to know what Atreus' real name is, which is the
Yeah.
god of mischief. When Kratos actually tore off the, what do you call this, I think, the curtains, and they get to see the entire thing that's already
Yeah.
going. Oh yeah, only I think there's only a few developers who could have done that, laid the story separate, almost piece by piece, of what happened to you throughout the game, because not everyone has the patience to do that. That
Mhm.
costs a lot of time, and also what do you call this, time and also money. And one of the best things that I also enjoyed when I was playing through that is the interactions that you have with the world serpent. It was really fun because I'm a big fan of big monsters. I'm a big fan of Godzilla. So when I got to see the world serpent, wow, this is something really good, because I think in mythology, the world serpent was supposed to destroy the entire earth, as
Mhm.
far as I can remember. But they actually gave it a bit more what they call this, neutral, or probably a much more heroics writing this in this case. And I was also very annoyed with Baldur as a character.
Oh.
Type of person that doesn't accept no for an answer. And the mere fact that he doesn't feel anything, it just gives a lot more credence for me to actually kick his ass a little bit more. Which was the point in each and every time you have an interaction, you really have to beat him up to the
Mhm.
point that he doesn't know what's happened. But
Yeah.
you didn't really kill him per se the first few interactions. Actually, you really can't damage him a lot until the last parts of the game.
Yeah.
And the assistance combat also, which involves Atreus, is actually very fun to watch. When you guys get to do a co-op against probably a big monster and stuff like that, quick time events, it was fun to watch, to be honest. I might revisit that game, just looking into it again after all these years. Not really all these years, 2018, so 4 or 5 years ago. But it seemed to be that long already, just because of the amount of games that already been published after
Mhm.
2008. But I would agree, if people haven't played the last God of War game, 2018, go check it out. Go get a copy over at Green Hills. You might get a sweet deal because it's fairly cheap nowadays. Sorry, I think it's just 1,000 pesos at this point. So yeah, thank you for giving us a number one, and that made me think a lot more about the game. To be honest, because I was also a big fan of Kratos as well, and I know what his backstory was, starting from the first game until Ascension, and to see the development that they had throughout the games, and now it really made sense for him to be that battle hardened father figure, or as it is.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. The other thing that struck out to me with this game is the relationship that he and Atreus had.
Mm,
It seemed very rocky at the beginning, and that very much reminded me of my relationship with my parents, which also is rocky in general. I don't know if my parents will watch this, but at the end of the day,
and
like you see how both of them sort of grow, not only as like them like individuals, Kratos as a father, Atreus as someone that's learning who he is, but also their relationship with each other as father and son.
yeah.
Um, that's grave. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love this game.
You know what I really love about the back and forth that they have is when the time they faced against, I think, the other, I
The
forgot the name of
brothers?
those characters. Yeah, the brothers. When
The
he said that,
brothers. Oh my
when
gosh.
when Kratos said that revenge you shouldn't take
Oh my
revenge on
gosh,
people
yeah.
against. It's one of the most memorable. I can't remember on top of my head what he said, but it's probably one of the best scenes in that game, because
Mhm.
there's a mindless indulgence for Loki or Atreus to kill the people who actually did him wrong. And
Mhm.
Kratos, being that guy who already been there, done that
Yeah,
multiple times, killed a god once, killed his father, and killed a lot more gods along the way. He knew that once you have that in your hands, the kind of blood in your hands, it becomes a sickness nonstop. You
yeah.
just like to kill him every time.
I
So
know.
that realization that he gave, or at least imparted with Loki, sorry, Atreus, I think they should maintain that the next game, because
I
if
hope
they are
so.
going to go back on that part of his character, this entire game was nothing. It would
Mhm.
mean nothing if they will make Atreus into the character that we know, which is the God of Mischief. So
Yeah.
I hope that they maintain that aspect, because that was incredible story writing and the character development. What happened there, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's It's in YouTube, guys. If you haven't seen it, just search it. You'll see what we're talking about there, and you'll get to experience how mad Kratos was when that hate was already building up inside his son's heart. He wanted to
Yeah.
stop it as soon as possible because he knew deep inside that once this happens, there's no going back. Or at least if you do reconcile yourself with the past, it will take you a very long road and also journey to accept that you've killed people along the way. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Excellent. So thank you for giving us your number
Woohoo!
one. I think at this point in time, it won't be a secret on what my number one is. We already talked about this multiple times, and all of people know me. You, the losing streak gaming people, also Jazz when he interviewed me. So my number one game, or just my favorite game, probably of all time, no one will unseat this game just because of the emotional impact and also how it saved my life. Be Silent Hill 2. So people always ask me why Silent Hill 2? Why did a horror game actually save you? It shouldn't be counterintuitive to actually what they call be against horror games when you're emotionally down. That could be, might be counterproductive, but it wasn't during the time I played this one. And just going to echo back what Isa said a while ago, which I said a while ago, is finding the right game, the right time. But actually, I didn't find it in this game the right time. The second time it came up. So there was a time in 2012, where I was facing a bit of depression and also some sort of hard stuff happening to me, both emotionally and also psychologically. And I wasn't able to go back to work just because of what happened to me. And I was finding other ways to at least make myself productive back then. And I actually found my old PS2 back then, which is still here and it's still working. And then I pulled out all of the games that I have and found this game, Silent Hill 3, Metal Gear 2 and 3, and a lot more. So I indulge myself in playing a lot of games back then. And it was fun, but it didn't fill a hole. I was also always asking myself, why am I not successful for it? Should have been earning a lot of money at this point, but what can you do? I mean, I was emotionally impaired and also psychologically disturbed what happened on my accident. But when I first played Silent Hill 2, I just played it because I wanted to experience how survival horror. This was after I played Resident Evil 4, because I found Resident Evil 4 such a good game, but it wasn't impactful. It didn't really touch me on an emotional level or even a psychological level. So I wanted to play more. Actually, the second, my number two, Metal Gear Solid 3, that also gave me a bit more to think about. And it's very funny because both games were developed by Konami, and when Konami was still at its height before. So when I played Silent Hill 2, actually I played 3 first before 2, because I wanted to at least just get scared, maybe alam mo yun, parang different emotions naman while I'm playing games, not just all action. I want some sort of horror. Para medyo magkaroon ako ng konting, what do you call this, adrenaline. So I played 3 first. And it was a good game, but it's a game that I wouldn't play again just because of my stand religiously. And I didn't want to touch the game again. So I decided to play 2 for the first time. Finish it probably around combined 6 hours, because I wanted to complete the entire game and also the second disc. And at first I was like, okay, so that was interesting. There was a lot going on. Sorry. And it wasn't until the second run through when I realized what's really going on in that game. Because just like when you watch movies, you don't immediately know what are the underlying stories of the game. I'm sorry, if of the movie, if you're more invested in just concentrating and having fun. And the second playthrough, I was not really having fun or looking forward to having fun. I was going out there playing it to understand what's going on with this game and how is it actually why is it actually being touted as one of the best survival horror games of all time. So yes, it is for me. And I know you guys already dive into or at least listen to my podcast episode with Max, and we both agree that 2 is probably the best game for both of us. Just because how real it is. And when I mean how real it is a scenario of James Sunderland facing the consequences of what he did in real life. So what happened there is, just to give a bit of history, James Sunderland is the name of the character here, and he was being called by Silent Hill because of something that happened in his past. And I think a letter was sent out to him by his dead wife. So if Silent Hill sends out a letter to you using someone that you love, someone dear, it means that something out there is calling into your psyche and also your conscience to face whatever you've done wrong. So James went in there. He was wanting to look for answers on why his wife actually contacted her, knowing that his wife was already dead at this point. Creates a illusion when creating a character like that, because immediately when he arrived there, he faced a lot of monsters. And knowing Silent Hill, you're not even sure if you're facing monsters or other people. If you're going to just like that in real life, it's like saying that my reality doesn't translate on the same reality that you're in. We don't have the same lives. We don't have the same problems per se. So whatever monsters that I'm seeing, it might not be the same on Iza's end. Probably Iza seeing Dark Souls or let's say Elden Ring monsters in front of her. I could see those monsters probably regular people. So we're not slaying the same demons, we're not slaying the same enemies or bosses. So that's what I picked up there early on. And then knowing the backstory of James and how his wife died, Silent Hill played in that reality, giving James a doppelganger version of his wife. So that complicates things even further. And just to cut it short, that doppelganger also died so many times in the game. It's like Silent Hill saying that, yeah, your wife died, your wife died, your wife died probably 3 times or 4 times. And out of those 4 times, I think she died off screen. So the main thing that I've learned here is you have to face reality for what it is. You have to face the consequences of what your past sins you're stood in, and you have to confront your demons per se. This game will actually subject you to the worst horrors that James has in his mind, and until the point that he sits down in front of a TV, watches a VHS tape of his memories with his wife until the very last moments that they have. And there's a part here that there are 2 pyramid heads would probably be one of the most iconic villains of all time. And they face him. And then there he realized that those pyramid heads were actually a avatar of who he is, guiding him on where he needs to go, which is the acceptance of what happened. And eventually he accepted it, and there's no more use for the pyramid heads, and they killed each other off. The final part is he confronted the doppelganger and also killed that as well. So this game has multiple endings, and its replayability is probably on top of there because you get to see a lot more when you play it 2 3 times. I played it around 4 times before. I'm not also going to play it this point. And the main reason why I'm not going to play it again is just because of my call this my religious views. Because this game is actually a bit more demonic than people would give it credit for. But you take the good things out of the bad, as I say. And I learned how to accept reality. During the time I was playing this one, I didn't have any direction. So I didn't know what to do. I just want to sit down and enjoy. I was thinking that probably next year I won't be here anymore. Let me just enjoy what I can. And it turns out that I'm still here. And I accepted the reality that whatever I felt at the time, even right now, it will always be there, but I need to move forward in life. And that's the key of key to success in life is you have to know when to move forward. You have to know how to adjust. You have to know when to adjust and also assess if you need to have a step back and see what's going on from a bigger angle rather than your main angle, which is just your problem. You have to see what else is going on. So James's character tackled most of that in a human psychology, and in the end, sadly, in the end, it wasn't a good ending for him. The canon ending of that one, he also died. But I think that's fate. I mean, when it comes to Silent Hill, no one really goes home alive, to be honest. But yeah, I think that's the explanation there. And again, also in relationships, you have to cherish each and every moment that you have with your loved ones. You have to let them know how much you love them. You have to let them know that you're in support of what they're doing, but also correct them if they need to. If you feel the need to see them doing something wrong, but never forget that these people who supported you and you're also supporting, for the most part, they're also human beings and they don't have the same reality as you. At least
Yeah.
be there for them, support them, especially if they've been good to you, even if they really haven't, especially if they're family. The most important thing here is you never forget that we're all human. We all need empathy. We all need some sort of love from other people, even if other people like me really don't perceive that. On my end, I try to be tough because we're men. But yeah, never forget those who love you. Always keep them close in your heart because you really don't know for how long they'll be here. And
Definitely.
okay, that's my number one. Also, I'm just going to share my number one bias when it comes to video game women. Again,
Always. Gotta
my
show it.
favorite. You have to show Eric Gainsborough as always. But yeah, I think that's all for me, Isa, and it's a very fun discussion. I know
Yeah.
we only allotted around an hour and 30, but time flies.
I'm fine
And
with
yeah,
it.
sorry. Yeah, I think this is about the time we promote or you promote your stuff, or if you do have any other things you'd like to say about the episode right now. uh, I'll give you the floor for how long, if you like to include one more game that you'd like to recommend to other people playing it. So yeah, is there anything else you would like to share in regards to this topic?
I mean, no, I don't have any new insights to share, but I do want to thank you for setting this up. I know it's been
This is
sort of
actually most of what we planned here is fairly improvised as opposed to what we
yeah,
had
I
before.
know.
And
Exactly, but it turned out
it
pretty
is what it
well.
is.
I mean, it's always nice to be able to talk about video games. And as you've seen, it does take time, but it's time well spent in my opinion because I don't know,
Mm-mm.
video games are just amazing. So nice to have them in this lifetime, and it's nice to have people that can relate to it, or at least people that I can also talk to about it. And so really thank you for having this episode. Thank you for inviting me again. Yeah, I really had fun.
Yeah, I think I have to thank you first because I know your schedule's a bit busy nowadays compared to before, but I tried to set something up earlier, but then again, schedules weren't aligning, and I have to apologize also because, to be honest with you guys, this thing that we have here, the topic that we have here, I only came up with it 24 hours ago. But at least we came up with something solid, and we got to talk about stuff that we really enjoyed. So, anything going on for you this upcoming month? Because I think it's already the last week of March at this point. So, and anything going on in Equip?
For the podcast, nothing new. I mean, we're still releasing episodes every week.
Mm-mm.
Oh no. Yep, there you go. Yeah, so again, I guess I'll just share. I have this podcast. It's called Equipped in Game and in Real Life, where I talk about gaming lessons. Wait, no, gaming concepts and then turn them into life lessons. That's how I started the podcast, but now I'm very much focused on having discussions with other people. And so since 2022 started, I've been having guests, and the conversations have been going different routes, which I very much enjoy because you really get to see how gaming can be talked about in a different light. And it's just nice to find different people that just have a lot of varied insights about their gaming experiences and what they picked up. And so, if
Yeah.
any of that interests you, feel free to head on over to Spotify podcast. Oh, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. We're just
Mm-mm.
there. We also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Not really active on that for now, but it's at Equipped Podcast PH. That's my episode on Elden Ring. Oh my gosh. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a lot more conversations coming for sure. And yeah, I'm just really grateful that I get to talk about what I love with a bunch of other people because it's fun.
Mm-mm. Oh yeah. And how many episodes do you have right? 20 plus, I think, combined. Right. So you have
I'm
your
at 23 this week. Yeah.
nice. Nice. There's a gamer's take, and also beyond gaming. So
Oh yeah, those are like the two different segments
mhm.
I released when I started having guests. So, a gamer's take is basically conversations with everyday gamers and mostly streamers. So really getting their experiences, their streaming journey, what games they like and why. And then my other segment with guests also is called Beyond Gaming. And this is really where gaming gets, into gets talked about in a lot of different aspects of life. So these are conversations I have with people that aren't necessarily streamers. Some or one of them was a game developer. Some are in business. Others are still studying. And just hearing from them how gaming has impacted them, it really just goes to show that gaming on its own is just so much more. Like there's really so much more about gaming than we realize, and it's just a matter of sparking the conversations, or at least finding people you can talk to about it. And so yeah, again, really grateful that I get to do that with a bunch of people. um, each conversation I've had has been so interesting and so different. I really have not gotten the exact same sentiments from people, and that's what I love. You just never know what other insights people have to share.
Mm-mm.
And we're currently celebrating Women's Month still, so we've been featuring a bunch of amazing females on the show, streamers, shoutcasters, a bunch more. And yeah, go ahead and check that out, you guys. Highly
Yeah.
appreciate it if you do.
Next episode will be on Sunday. All right. Oh no.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes.
Is there any idea right now, or
I'm sorry.
any teaser on what's going to go out on Sunday? Or
I don't want to say who the guest will be, but all I
okay,
can say
that's
is
fine.
it's another female. It's another featured female
Mm.
that I'm just really grateful that I got to talk to.
Okay. All right. Again, guys, the website is in the description. It's not hard to find, hard to click. You get to also subject yourself with some very logical and very informative content. Go ahead and tune into Equip Podcast PH. And I think that's it for me and
Oh,
Isa. As far as I'm concerned, I have no plans so far. I mean, I think I still could do another live tonight, just watching the
oh,
Batman's
really?
trailer again because they released another deleted footage featuring the Joker,
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm still thinking if I'm going to do any content regarding it because eventually my outlook will be negative, and I don't want to be negative today. It's just it's like I just want to be positive for someone. That's why I have Isa here because she's one of the most positive people I know. And
I've
yeah,
never
for
heard that
me,
before.
yeah, just by listening to her content, you'll get to know at least what she's into and also the way she approaches life, and that's important for people to realize that gaming is not just about gaming; it's a lot more than that. And again, you just have to talk to the people who actually understands you and also understand the gaming sphere as well, and introduce other people also to this very informative and also great hobby that we have, which is playing video games and also content creation. So I think I'll have something for next week. I'll just have to formulate something up. But for now, this would be the last episode for the month, just because it's already the end of the month. So April will be it will be interesting because they're planning to send us back to the office at that time. And the main
Mhm.
reason why I'm still able to do this because we're still working at home. I'm not sure if I'm going to be
Oh,
consistent after that one. Let's see. So also having some career shifts eventually. But yeah, go ahead and visit our page. Go ahead and visit my page. Recently I had a long discussion regarding the Batman. I think that was around 4 hours. Fairly decent size discussion regarding that. And I have a video recently that I uploaded that became viral for some reason. One of the segments that I have with the critical drinker, I chopped those segments up and it became viral because it was talking about race swapping and entertainment. Yeah, I just thought about following his formula, and now the video has around 40,000 views and also a lot of likes.
nice.
It
Congrats.
actually helped the algorithm. Yeah, thanks. It helped the algorithm for me and also helped me hit half of the requirements when it comes to views or hours viewed by people. So I always thank him for that. And also, I'm also always going to thank the drinker because if it wasn't for his content and if I didn't discover him, I wouldn't be doing this. I would have
Yeah.
stopped 2020. So I think I also have another email just went in with Max. We are going to do something again with Max there. Looking forward to that. I'm still starstruck each and every time I converse with this guy because he's very highly intelligent. And for now, guys, that's it for us. Again, visit Isa's page on Sunday, and just stay safe out there. I know you guys, a lot of you guys are trying to go back to normal as well, and me too. Take care of yourself, wash your hands, and also just try to maintain a good life. And again, the main theme for today is relationships. Based on what we've discussed, never forget the people who've been there for you. Also, make sure that you respect everyone and also show your love for the less fortunate people. So again, this is JM. 0 hour discussions. Hope you guys have a great weekend and take care. Good night.